Maldonado, the alderman of this ward, wants to convert the school into a military academy. The sense that we get for this is that it's part of a long-term project of trying to gentrify the neighborhood. So a military academy would be a selective enrollment school, which would mean that people who live in the neighborhood wouldn't be able to send their kids there without the kids going through an application process. We also know that Alderman Maldonado has some connections to real estate developers, and he's very cozy with Rahm Emanuel. So it seems like it's part of a long-term process of trying to increase property values in the neighborhood. So transforming the school is a way of saying, we want this neighborhood to be more selective, and we want to try and force people out, make it harder to live here in this neighborhood if you don't have the means to get your kid to get into a school that's a military academy.
The presentation that CPS is scheduled here in January 22nd. Few parents and lots of students attend the meeting, but it was not a good meeting, and those are words from parents who attend, because according with them, the presenters, they were not well prepared to answer questions.
It was January 22nd, after school hours, around 4 or 5. And it was a bunch of elevated students and a bunch of parents and former students from Ames. We had all gone up to the multi-purpose room, and the Marine students had just seen us there with our posters. And as soon as they were about to speak, we started our chant.
All right, we'd like to thank you all for coming this evening. Thank you all for coming to the...
Todd Connor, go away, don't take Ames away. We repeated it 3 times. As they told us to stop, we started with our new chant. It goes like, everywhere we go, people want to know who we are, so we tell them we are Ames, the mighty, mighty Ames. And we repeated that 3 times. After they tried stopping us after that chant, we went up and we asked them our questions. One of them, the main question was, why fix something that's not broken?
We can stay here, or we can go to room. True. So we have 2 options. We can stay here, right? Or for students, what did you ask?
Why do we fix something that's not even broken?
I can't answer that, hon.
And they responded with us, we can't tell you that. We have no answer because they're not CPS board members.
So we have two options.
For the military.
Right.
Ames voted no. Where's our opinion in this?
Okay, I'm gonna give you options. This is not a community meeting. This is not a community meeting. For an hour.
Ames was first built as a community school. Why are you destroying us?
It's not our time. It's not our time.
There's so many buildings!
If you guys want to take the space, you're more than welcome to.
So many buildings and you guys chose this one. Why Ames? Why Ames? Why Ames? Why Ames? Exactly. Why can't you just get the school to our... Shut down!
We don't want them to take our school away. We actually like Ames. I really don't know what's the purpose of it. I mean, Nixon, Faulkner, McCollum come over here, 7 through 8. Why you want to take it away? That's really kind of dumb. I mean, y'all messing up all of it because Nixon has to change their schedule from pre-K all the way to 8. It's all the schools. So I mean, yeah, that's my way of seeing it.
Ames Middle School is a middle school for 7 and 8 graders. So we receive students from different schools. Those are called feeder schools, which is McAuliffe, Nixon, and most recently were students from Berry and Falconer. So those schools that I mentioned before are from pre-K to 6th grade. So they send the students here at Ames for 7th and 8th grade. So this was the first year that Ames is receiving students from Falconer and Berry, and with this change, they are going to attend another school if they didn't decide to stay here at the new military school.
For the feeder schools, which are elementary schools that are usually, when they graduate from 6th grade, would come to a middle school, which in this case is Ames, they would usually graduate from here and go to high school. But Ames would be turned into a military, and that they would not give as many space as it usually has as a public, community, and so forth, that they would not have the chance or the experience that they would need.
We asked him where would our 7th graders go and our feeder school go, because they had said they're only having 200 seats for next year. But in one elementary school is about 130 students coming here. So we asked him where would they go, and he said they would have to fight for their seats. And I told him we were promised that all of our 7th graders and feeder schools coming in this year would be able to stay. And he said, well, we were told only 200 seats.
It's going to be selective enrollment in years to come, but next year we're giving the opportunity for students to stay here and to enroll from feeder schools without any selective enrollment.
You don't get it. We got a slip. My brother, he goes to a 6th grade. He got a slip. First come, first serve for your school. I thought every feeder school kids from 6th grade get to come here.
They do this year as an open enrollment as long as there's seats, right?
But
you know how many 6th graders there are?
there is in that school?
No, in all 4 schools.
No, I know from my brother's school. That's it.
So
But
in all
that
four
is more than 200. You
It
guys
is.
said 200 seats.
So he had also mentioned all the students get to go to another school. And I'm like, I told him KP isn't a good school to send 7th and 8th graders to because it's not a good area.
Can you tell me how many people you know that came from Kelvin Park? That
I know
are
one,
6th
and he's a manager for T-Mobile
One
store.
out
you
of,
know one?
out of how many
Well, I know
freshmen?
one person.
Out of how many freshmen
I
that
can't
entered?
give you.
Which is like,
Look, we're here to provide you with options for next year, because the last thing I want is for you guys to not know where you're going to be next year.
you don't
We're
get
gonna be
it.
here in our school.
But why you gotta choose our school?
and
There's
this
a
is
bunch
our
of schools you could choose. Why
You didn't
our
choose-
school?
we didn't-
I asked him, why fix something that's not broken? He just stayed quiet. And then I just said, thank you for your time, and we left.
Come on. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, gentlemen.
A couple of the Marine students had came up to me because I had gone up to them and told them sorry for not letting them do their presentation. And they said, what grade are you in? I told them 8th. And they told me, why are you fighting? You're leaving anyways. I told them the same thing. I created so many memories here that I want to pass by my old middle school and say I went there. I told them that nobody's gonna hear a voice if they're not loud enough. And I also had mentioned to them how I went to go talk to Alderman Maldonado, how I went to the Board of Education meeting, how I attended a lot of things that involve Ames. And I said, I already have my voice. They'll have to work themselves from the bottom in order to be heard. And a couple minutes later, they had said, well, it's not your fight anymore, you're gonna leave. And I told them, it's my fight because I still attend the school. And I was taught to fight for what I love, and I love the school. I love Ames. And I love the teachers and parents that help out in it.
Get out of our school! We don't want you here!
It's been really interesting trying to run an orchestra across from the multi-purpose room, which is where all the main activities take place at the school. The kids are really passionate about what's happening in their community, and so they have a lot of opinions, and we encourage them to state those opinions and get them out into the community as much as they can. As Ames is being absorbed into the military academy, a lot of organizations are being pushed out, which is something that probably the public doesn't know about. Why would they? One of the big programs that runs here at Ames, which is a huge boon to the community, is the Elevate program. It connects the community to the school because it is a neighborhood school and it is a community organization. It brings groups like my own group in to run things like an orchestra, to run amazing after-school programs, to bring in healthcare, to bring in all sorts of programs like that'll build vocational skills for the kids, to educate the parents, like ESL programs and stuff like that. As far as we understand it, this program will not operate in a military school for a number of reasons. So that's one of the reasons that my students are concerned, is because their orchestra will not be here next year.
For the orchestra, it's not only Ames students, it's also feeder schools and it's also community students that don't go to the feeder schools that Ames already has. It's sort of like a mixture of students of the community that have fun and enjoy their time in after school with orchestra, and it's pretty sweet and seeing that little fourth graders come to Ames to enjoy their time with music. And if military comes, they're probably going to take that away, not even let them come in.
A number of my students are really concerned because it's been stated that there may be selective enrollment, which would mean that a lot of the students who go here, like my community of kids, a lot of them walk, and if they don't walk, they live very close. So if they do not choose to be part of a military school, they would have to be kicked out of their own neighborhood, which to me is kind of unfortunate. Given I live in the area, these kids are great, and if they have to commute, I know some of these parents' work schedules, it's pretty hard. I know that the community feels that this is a violence done to their school, to their community. They weren't asked. This isn't the first time this has happened, and it's not going to be the last. This city has a lot of money that it has to deal with. It's cheaper if the military gives them money to upkeep a huge building like this, and it's a really nice campus. If I were them, I'd probably do the same thing, but I think it's unfortunate the community didn't have a say in it.
Now we are going every day, taking the streets and the 26th ward and 35 and first ward, informing the parents about the referendum that we have in place. So we are educating the whole community to vote yes on the next elections on March 18. We have a question on the ballot, and the referendum is, should Ames Middle School be maintained as a neighborhood school rather than being converted into a military high school? And we ask the community, the voters, to vote yes, because the community deserves to keep Ames as a community school.
They want it to stay a neighborhood school. So there'll be a question on the spring ballot in March, and we will hope you vote for it. Okay? We're going door to door in the 8 precincts that are right around Ames, that either where Ames is or that feed into Ames. And those are the 8 precincts where the question is going to be on the spring ballot. And we're doing 2 things. If people are not registered to vote, we are getting them registered and then letting them know about the issue around Ames.
Well, I got involved because I heard that they were turning Ames into a military school without the consent of the parents at Ames and without the consent of the community. At one point, they had an unofficial poll, and 87% of the parents at Ames didn't want the school to be turned into a military academy, and yet CPS is going through with it anyway.
One of the houses we went to, what was important to them, not so much about, they were kind of interested in it being a military academy. It was more so the fact that it wouldn't be a neighborhood school now. That was the biggest impact for them. So they didn't feel that it was right for a school to be so close to them. It was going to be something that was they're not going to have access to a great school in their neighborhood. So that to them was not something that they were really interested in.
So we're out here, we got the question on the ballot. It's a non-binding referendum, but it at least allows the community to vote on it, and we're trying to get a big turnout for that so that people vote and show CPS that they're against converting it into a military academy.